So the phone rings and you're reaching to answer it. The most important assumption you can make in this moment is that it's a first-time caller to your practice. And the first impression you make could determine whether or not that caller winds up in your schedule. Take a moment, compose yourself, and very important, put on that smile as you pick up the phone to greet the caller. This will set a positive tone for your greeting. You'll also want to have a signal ready for your coworkers when a new patient calls. They'll need to know you'll be occupied for about 10 minutes, during which you can't be interrupted with routing slips or other tasks. Some practices I've observed actually put a sign or sticker on their computer. That's not my favorite because it's not very discreet. You can also have a unique pencil you use during the call, and some practices make their new patient intake form a specific color. Whatever your method, you'll want to signal to coworkers that you can't be distracted. You don't want the caller sensing a noisy, chaotic environment, and you also want to be present in this conversation, which is impossible when surrounded by distractions. Your intake form really has two purposes. First, it's a reminder of all things you need to find out in the conversation. The second purpose is to help you stay present and engaged with this new patient. Avoid typing or clicking through your software while talking to a new patient. Obviously, the first thing we're going to get from the patient is their name, and we're going to write that down because we are going to use that name often throughout the conversation with a new patient. And this is one thing you don't want to mess up. The form is pretty self-explanatory. Ask how they heard about you. Was this a referral? If so, celebrate it. Lynn told you about us? Any friend of Lynn's is a friend of ours. If they found you through a positive Google review, oh, that's great to hear. We also have all 5-star patients. If it was a referral from a periodontist down the street, oh, Dr. Martin is the best. The point here is to create a positive atmosphere as you turn your attention to the caller's clinical situation and history. Start by asking permission to ask questions. Mrs. Jones, do you have a few minutes to spend with me to answer some questions? So you'll continue asking when was the last time she saw a dentist. That way, you'll begin to determine if x-rays are necessary. This little bit of digging into her history can prepare the practice for the first visit. If it's been 10 years since she's seen a dentist, there could be some level of gum infection, and you'll want to have appropriate instruments and treatment brochures in the operatory for that appointment. Also, as you find out about her oral health history, let her know. Our hygienists are experts. They are total advocates for your health care. Or, Dr. Johnson sees patients like you every day. He's the best in town. Okay, things are going well to this point, so you'll continue asking about her information on the intake form, her insurance provider. It's impossible to know what's going on in her mouth at this point, and if they've called simply looking for a cleaning, you have to be clear that the first visit is a records appointment. Mrs. Jones, this is going to be a records appointment. If your gums are healthy and there is time, we will go ahead and do your cleaning that first day. However, if we see infection, we will review that information with you and then schedule a time that works for you to get that cleaning done. The goal here is to under-promise the cleaning. We are setting expectations that there may be one more appointment involved. We don't want to spring the idea of another appointment on her later if she's expecting a cleaning on day 1. The rule of thumb, don't mess with a patient's time or money. Be clear about the expectations. Now you've made it through the information on the intake form. You'll notice this one is blank on the other side. This is your place for the real conversation notes, the light stuff. How long have you lived in Lawrence? You like to travel to Italy? What's your favorite part? The importance of this is making the patient feel as if we know them and forge connections even in these early conversations. Now, if you've seen the virtual office tour video above this one, this is a good time to send that patient to your website. Ask if she's in front of a computer. If so, have them go to the website so you can virtually introduce yourself and the practice. If you have health history forms on your website, this is a great time to have them fill that out with your guidance. The idea is to remove the obstacles. Ask if she'd prefer the forms emailed to her or if she'd like to come in a few minutes early. Whatever you can do to remove those roadblocks to that first appointment. And now it's time to steer her into that schedule. You should know typically where in your day you'll want to see new patients. Never ask if she'd like to come in, and never leave the time of day completely up to that new patient. No totally open-ended questions from here on out. That sounds like this. Mrs. Jones, thank you for providing all that information. We do reserve special time for first-time patients. I'm going to tell you what those times are, and you can let me know which one works best for you. Notice in that statement, you never asked if she'd want to come in. You asked when. So you've done it. Mrs. Jones is in the schedule. Be clear she understands exactly what to expect. If it's going to be a 2-hour appointment, be sure to be clear because most patients won't be expecting that. Assure her you'll be checking with her insurance ahead of time. If there was a doctor involved in this referral, assure her you'll be obtaining records or x-rays from that doctor. Finally, let her know she'll be getting reminders about her appointment. At this point, you end the call. Mrs. Jones, I'm so glad you called today. We are looking forward to meeting you. I'll be the first person you see when you come in. If you think of any questions, please don't hesitate to call. And that's it. Congratulations on adding another new patient to your practice.